Welcome back to Wealth Builders. We are doing part 2 with Sun Yong Kim-Manzolini. We left her getting divorced, leaving a domestic violence because she did not want her children to have that as their legacy. Let's see where she ends up. Let's see where she is today. We're going to get there, okay? Welcome back.
Thank
I
you.
want to
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for sharing your story with us. As we've talked about, my mission at Wealth Builders and Money with Mission is every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that's not in her best interest. And you are exemplifying that from your most humble beginnings to where you've gotten to today via the path you've come. You guys, if you didn't listen to part 1, you got to go back. Don't even just stop right now, go back to part 1 and then come on back to here because this is an amazing story. You've gotten divorced. You've got 3 children. You have your medical assistant dream job. Take us from there.
Well, because of my dream job, I loved it so much. I looked at myself one day and I thought, why do I not able to do things like going on vacations when I have a time that I could take 2 weeks off? Why am I working when my doctor is on a vacation? Why am I working overtime? Why am I working extra hours? Why am I not able to take my kids on a vacations and things? Why is this? And I'm working my 40 hours at my dream job. This is just crazy.
Yeah.
So along the way, as a single mother, I ended up doing side jobs. I work at nights selling vacuums. I worked at a catering business. I had my own
I
catering
have to
business.
laugh at you selling vacuum cleaners because she just learned about vacuum.
I know. America's like, what, vacuum? And then here I'm selling vacuums. Something looked very strange, but it was just one of the ways for me to make extra income. And so I would stay up to 1 or 2 o'clock selling vacuums. And I did that for like 6 months. And then I thought, I can't do this. I can't stay up to 1 or 2 in the morning and then go back to work at 8, 9 o'clock next morning. So then I started a catering business. And I would serve lunches for doctors and the nurses and clinics or doctors' offices at my day off. And so
Okay.
I worked 4 10-hour days on my weekdays, work regular as a CMA. And then I would do a catering business on my Wednesdays. And then I did that for a couple of years and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So then I did like a detail house cleaning. So I would clean the houses on Wednesdays and then on the weekends. So I was working like 6, 7 days a week.
Were you saving money or were you like paycheck to paycheck just making it
Oh,
as you were going
I
along?
was living paycheck to paycheck. Believe me, I had a notice on my door and saying that your utility is gonna get shut off within 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure that my kids didn't see that. So I would hurry and read it and hide it, bring it in the
Yeah.
house because
Yeah.
I didn't want them to see it. And then there's times during 14 years of single life, single mother, I didn't have time to date. But once in a while, like my friends would line me up with somebody and we're going to like a blind date or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
when guys would like buy me like a dinner, and this is like, I don't know if this is terrible or not, but it makes sense to me. Inside of me, and I would say, I don't need that $15, $20 plate. I need that for money for my bills. I was just telling myself that, right?
Yes.
And I
Yes.
said, only if I could get that money back. So there's a one guy though, bought me like we went shopping and then like, just, this is like over 14 years. So first year, I never dated anybody. I hated men. I
Yes.
really hated this. I pinky promised my girls and I said, I promise I'll never get married. Ever, ever, ever. That's just pinky promise because I just hated men at that time. So I hate a lot of things in life. I used
Yeah.
to. I
Yes.
used to. But anyway, so living life like that. And I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. And so I thought, I have to do something different. So therefore, I have to shift my mind, say that I can make more money, but I don't know any other skills. All I've done was medical assistance.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Besides paying your bills, was there
Mhm.
other reasons that you wanted to make more money?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to take my kids on a vacation. Just
Okay.
because like other families go on vacations, I thought about like I don't want my kids to grow up and say I never went on a vacation.
Okay.
And I don't want them to remember as like our mom always worked. That's
Mhm.
not the kind of memories that I wanted to portray to my kids. And besides, like I want to be able to buy cars that are brand new, not always buying a used car and being broken down on the freeway with my kids. And then I didn't have a cell phone. At the time, we didn't use a cell phone. So I just stood there and hoping that someone would stop by to rescue us. Yeah, I have my hood smoking and oh my gosh. And that's another thing. I drove broken cars, like old cars, so many all my life as a single mother and as being married and everything, that I used to get free days on the free days from the freeway from broken cars. So there's advantage and there's some disadvantage. I'm telling you, my life is just it's crazy. There's another story. So, oh my gosh.
Well, basically, your reason, your why at that time was for almost everything you were doing was, I want my children to know better. I want them to know better things than what they're seeing right now. And I know that there are better things than what they are seeing right now. This is
Of
not
course.
the way life has to be. And
Right.
you took it into yourself. Your husband actually did you a favor as you were
Yes.
divorcing him when he told you were going to be on welfare. You
Yes.
knew that I've come from way too much to ever have to be there. I know I can do more than that. Like you said,
Yes.
I can see, I can walk, I can smile, I can chew, I can do all these
Yeah.
things. I know I
Yes.
can do more.
Yes. And you know what? My scarcity. So as a success person, we don't always success just overnight over a 6 month period. But all along the way, there's a lot of noises comes to us because it came to me.
Yes.
And where as a single mother struggling, I thought, well, maybe I better go back to school to make
Okay.
more money to get a better education. And all those things went through and I did that. I
Yep.
went back to school a couple of times. I went to like 3 different universities trying to get my RN degree. And I thought if I can make more money per hour and things like that.
Okay.
But I remember along the way, I went into the restroom in the college one of the days. And I remember thinking I was so close thinking about saying, okay, I rescue, I want some government help. My husband is right. I can't do this anymore. Those that came to my mind. I remember inside of the bathroom stall,
Mhm.
just crying and saying, I just cannot do this anymore. Ready to give up and say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to get a welfare assistance.
Yeah.
Those are the things that are so real and we hear it.
Yes.
And everything that we try, because I was working full time, I can't go to school full time, I can't take care of my kids. I just can't do it all. So that's the times when we're just, okay, I give up, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But the tears came to my mind and said, nope, no, there's a people out there making it. There's a people out there using that system. Nothing's wrong with it if they really, 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 really need it. But there's a people that are out there is not even using it. They're making it.
Yes.
I'm going to be one of those people. I don't want to show that system to my kids. When I could do everything, when I could see, hear, and use my legs and arms, I could
Yeah.
drive to get to places. There's no excuse for me not to do it on my own and not being rescued by government, by rescued by
By a man.
by man, having another relationship, jumping into another relationship.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So you went to school, you got to work, thought that was the way to do it. How did you shift from the running the treadmill? Because I know you retired from your dream job at $35,000 a year with no savings, no anything.
That's
How did you
right.
get to, you guys, Sun Young does options trading. So that's a big stretch from where she came from to where she is. How did you like options trading is something I even heard about probably maybe 10, 20 years ago and still don't understand it, but I know you're going to help me with that one.
Sure, I'll explain because I have never heard about it either. That's how I really got into it.
Where did you first hear about it? How did that opportunity come to you?
Well, okay, so because I worked for doctors for 33 years, last 20 part of my career, I worked with the one doctor, internal medicine doctor, for 20 years of it. And I got to see same patients over and over again, sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month, once a year. It depends on their needs, right?
Right.
And I was observing that what was happening to my patients. Because when you get to see same thing over and over with the same people, and I noticed that people that are retired or getting ready to retire, they were struggling.
Mm.
They were struggling financially. They have this big scarcity mind and say, oh, I don't think I could retire even though I'm at the age that I need to retire, but I can't retire.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're like, I can't retire because I am in so much in debt.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an obligation to pay bills. Or some people that have retired that they're so sick, all the time that they have being retired and all the money that they have saved, after working for 30, 50 years, they're spending their time and their money in doctor's offices, emergency rooms, assisted livings, and
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, I'm not going down that road. If I'm going to retire, I'm going to stay retired. I don't have to ever work for another company. I don't want to work because I have to, because I have so many bills to pay. And if I retire, I'm not going to be sick enough where I have to spend my money and my time, just like my patients.
Yeah.
So at my career, my dream job, I have learned so many valuable lessons that I decided that I'm going to retire early. Now,
Okay.
think about this. I only had $10 in my checking account, zero of my savings. I was
Okay.
living paycheck to paycheck. So like I would tell people that I like utility places and I would say, I get paid in 2 weeks. Can you wait? And they're like, well, we could wait, but we're going to charge you late fees.
Yes.
And I said, okay, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
There's times where I'm $1 short and they charge me $10 late fee. And I thought,
Yeah.
and I remember calling them and say, give me a break. I'm a single mother. Come on, I get paid in 2 weeks and I'm only $1 short. You can't give me a break. And they're like, no. So life, I found out so quick. Life doesn't give you a break,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what circumstances that you're under. And even though I know 100% that I could cover that money, my light bill, it's only $1 short, but I know I could cover it in 2 weeks when I get paid. But nobody gives you a break. Life goes on. So I thought I have to do whatever it takes, right? So I was telling my doctor, because you have to tell your coworkers, like your planners, that I'm going to retire within a year. I told
Okay.
my doctor that in 2014, and he's like, can you afford it? And I said, no. He says, do you have any money saved up? No. Everything was no. And he was telling me, well, I can't retire. I got at least save at least $1 million or more because by the time I retire, things are going to be more expensive. So I have to save that. And I thought to myself, that was over my head. I thought, I don't even have any money. I
Yeah.
did have a pension plan and I did have a 401k with company been
Okay.
working for 20 years, but I knew that I retired early. I could not touch any of those.
Okay.
So I decided, this is silly, but I decided that I'm going to retire anyway.
Yes.
So I went to, like when you take another job for better money or better position, you always have to have something lined up before you quit your old job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. Before I retired, I wanted to line up something for something that I could do to retire. So my husband and I, we decided that we're going to retire earlier than we ever expected with no money, right?
Hold on a second.
Oh, wait,
Because
yes.
You
Yes,
introduced a husband that we never talked about yet.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
It was like everybody just like, what happened?
Yeah. So after
He wasn't one of the guys you met that stopped that helped you on the side of the road, was he?
no, I met this guy online.
Okay.
Yes. So it's interesting. So sorry about that. Yeah.
It's okay.
So I'll take you guys back here. So after I was having a conversations with my doctor, but prior to that, because of all the lessons that I have learned, even though I pinky promised my kids that I would never get married,
Yes.
I've decided after observing what was happening to my patients when their spouse passed away and nobody discovered them when they fell down, when they need something because they were widow. And I thought to myself, someday my kid's going to grow, they're going to leave and have their own family. And I didn't want to be one of those widows who are just just because I hated men, that with that kind of attitude, I didn't want to just live by myself for the rest of my life. And besides, I thought I was going to make money. I want to be able to travel, and it would be fun to travel with somebody else to share the money that I make. So I decided to get remarried, like with a man that I threw online in 2009.
Okay.
So I got remarried to a man. So I was married when I was having a conversations with my doctor in 2014
Okay.
that I'm going to retire. So I hope that makes sense now.
Okay.
Everything
Time.
kind of
I want to ask a couple questions.
Yes.
Because now it's a new frame. You're
Yes.
married, talking about retiring,
Mhm.
knowing you don't have any savings, and you're thinking about your own personal. We were all thinking about your own personal, and you have a 401k and have some retirement, but you can't touch it yet. Was
Yeah.
your husband going to be able to support you if you quit? Or was that a thought in your mind? It's like, I'm going to be okay because I have this guy over here?
No. I've always believed that I should have my own money. The
Mhm.
reason is because when I did have some time when my kids were visiting my ex-husband, their dad, every other
Mhm.
weekend,
Mhm.
I, as a single mother, before I started all this extra job, like I was able to, like first year that I didn't date anybody, and then I didn't really pick up those side jobs yet because I was still new at this new life.
Yes.
But there's times when 14 years I stay single. So during that 14 years, I have learned that nobody's gonna take my life in charge. I am not going to surrender my life to somebody else's needs and wants. So in
Mhm.
other words, even though I was broke and I didn't have any money, but when there's times when guys wanted to take me out during those 14 years of single life, that I would say, I want to pay for my own meal. The
Okay.
reason is because I wanted to have my own decision. I don't want to feel like I owe anybody anything. So
Got
if
it.
they buy me dinner, I feel like I have to owe them something back because of being a woman, because of my culture where I came from. We always like to serve, especially as a woman, we like to serve, not take anything, no strings attached. But seems like guys, they may not be all that way, but to me, what I've seen was that there's always those strings attached. Like I'll buy you
If I do
dinner.
something for you, you do
Yeah,
something for me. There's a
right.
quid
Like
quid pro
if I
quo
buy
for it.
dinner, it's okay for me to kiss you.
Mhm.
Things like that. I didn't want any of that kind of thing. So I
Okay.
always, like we all touched, like they paid for me and I paid for my own meals. And through that process, I feel like I was gaining power, my own power.
Okay.
And everybody always used to say, like, your hair, my hair was really long and thick and gorgeous, right? And neighbors, I love your hair. I love your hair. And I heard that so much from guys. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to so that people don't like, the guys don't like me if I had a short. I was trying to test and I was always trying to gain my own power. And I thought, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to cut my hair and wear my hair short. As you can see, my hair is really short. I used to have a really long hair down to waist. And I thought, I want to see if guys would still take me out if I had a short hair.
Okay.
And I cut my hair short to gain my own power because now no guys have a reason to like me, no reason for them to take me out because I don't have any long, beautiful hair.
It's
And
just if it's just about my hair. Okay.
yeah. So I've done all these different things physically that are tangible that I'm trying to gain my own power. Not to say I'm better than you. No, nothing like that at all. It's just like, it's about building my own power in my own terms.
Yes.
And it's finding that out that who likes me, accepts me, still want to take me out, still cares for me, still like trying to
Yes.
find out all those things.
Yes. Yes.
I just do it different ways. Some people really don't go to that drastic, but I had to. Like
Yes.
when I first divorced and I didn't want to really go out, I would just take myself out. I would go out to a restaurant, dressed up nice, and I was watching other people, other couples are like, they're looking at me funny. Waiter or waitress walk by, they would never wait on me because they assume that I was
You're
waiting for
waiting for
somebody
somebody.
else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I had to say, hey, I'm ready. They're like, well, it's your guest. And I go, no, I'm here by myself. I did all those things. We have to do those things to get to journey, to find out who you are
Yes.
and find yourself and who are your true friends, male and female,
Yes.
and to
So,
gain your own power.
and everybody has to find what their thing is
That's right.
to feel their own power, to feel you have the right to be here, to feel that all your thoughts are important thoughts. Your words are important words. That is, take up space is one of the things that we talk about a lot of times. You have the right to be in your space.
That's
And you
right.
have to own your space. Sun Young did it in ways I might not do it, although I did get locks because I wanted to see what people would think. She
Yeah.
got there.
Gorgeous.
Takes herself out to dinner. We do the things we need to do to feel our own power, to gain our own power. When you know that you have what your soft spots are, what your weak spots are, like air quote weak spots, how you build your strength. I love this story. Okay. So now you married Mr. Manzolini. Yes.
Yes.
And how, would your kids have anything to say about you pinky swearing that you'd never get married, or had they gotten over that?
They got over that.
Okay.
They got over that. They were surprised. They were shocked. But, by then they were on their own life. They got married and they have their own life and everything. And so here I was by myself.
Okay. 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 All right. All right. So now you're with him. You're ready to retire.
Yeah.
And you're
So, yeah.
lining up your next thing.
Yeah. So I was lining up my next thing and so having a conversations. And when I made a shift was this. I thought, as much as I love my dream job, and it's my dream job, and this is what I was planning on doing until I retire. But it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to not follow through the rest of your life according to what other people think that you should do.
Or even what you thought you should do. Amen.
Even
it is okay to change your mind.
Exactly. Even though this is my plan because I love my job, it's my dream job, it's okay because it does not align with me when it comes to financial.
Yes.
Like I don't want to work 6-7 days a week. I don't want to work on my days off. It's okay to change your mind without feeling guilty.
Yes.
And so I was going through so much of change. There's times where I really shifted my mindset, and I told my kids, and I said, you know what? Some people go through like crisis of going through their 40s or 50s, their life crisis, whatever. I think that's when I never had a hormone, I don't know, menopause or anything like that. But I just went through the shift. And I remember I told my kids, I said, you know what? Your mom, you're going to have the same mom, but you're going to have a different mom, meaning you're going to have the same rules to follow. You're going to I'm going to treat you same, but I'm no longer going to be your friend. I will be your mother, but I'm not interested in being your friend. Doing things just so that you and your friends will like me. I don't care if you guys hate me, but the things that I do to teach you guys things that you could survive. What if I was to die now? How are you going to survive without me? I was ready to show that shift to my kids.
Okay. Got it.
And so when I was going through that change, I felt very, very ugly, very guilty. I almost feel like I had a separate personality because, see, most of my life as growing up, I thought I wanted to be liked. I want people to accept me. I want people to notice me. None of those were happening. And so until I was in my 30s, like being a mom, I thought it's never too late to change who I want to become financially, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Never too late. And there's no rules that you cannot change when you become this far, when you live this kind of lifestyle. No, you make your own rules.
Yes.
You take your own power. You create your own space. You create your own power. You live your own life in your terms. But along the way, something that it must go with that is gratitude. You must have a gratitude. And so going back to where I knew that I could not use any of my 401k or my pension plans and things like that, I just leaped and I didn't have anybody within my circle that made a lot of money.
Okay.
I didn't know anybody other than you just hear things from the news, like Warren Buffett and a lot of rich people. You just hear it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We all have open ears. We just hear it. And I thought to myself, I'm going to make enough money that I will never have to worry about money after I retire for the rest of my life.
Okay.
There's some people out there doing that, so why not me?
Okay.
Why not me? Without any skills. So I was started taking, like my husband and I were taking classes, being real estate investors.
Okay.
Real estate investors. Because when I got married, remember, I was leaving home. I had my own home to live as a single mother, right? And then when my husband and I got married, I decided I'm going to rent that house out to make
Okay.
extra money. I was losing money. So I thought, oh, I'm going to go to this seminar for real estate, learn how to make money on my rental because I have no skills, no knowledge what to do. I just tried what I hear from people say,
Right.
oh, as long as you're a rental, you can make money. So I just went by with that. And it was wrong because no skills, no knowledge, I didn't make any money. So I went to real estate investment to learn to make money. And there, they said to us, to the students, they says, as a real estate investors, you're going to make so much money that you're going to have to diversify your money. What are you going to do? One of the ways that you could diversify your money is learn to do option trading.
Okay.
And I said, what is option
That.
trading?
What's that? Okay.
Never heard about it in my entire life.
Okay.
I heard about stocks because my doctor used to buy stocks and sell stocks, but I never heard about option. And so I asked them, I said, what is option trading? And they're like, well, you get into a stock market, but it's almost like a day trading. And I said, what do you have to do? Because you have to have a skill, you have to learn, and you have to use a computer. And I said, no, thank you. I hate computers.
Okay.
I'm not a tech person. So I just automatically closed my mind and said, no, thanks. That's out for me. So then I focused on real estate.
Okay.
So after the course, I would go to real estate auctions, look into different properties to buy. And so without money, my husband and I, we bought properties, we bought some rentals, and we did all kinds of stuff with the real estate. And anyway, so I retired in 2015, exactly 1 year from the time that I had a conversation with my doctor.
Okay.
In fact, he was on a vacation when I retired. And like I said, I can't wait for good times. I can't wait for the right mamas. I can't wait till my doctors come back from the vacation and say, guess what? I'm going to retire. No, I took the time and said, I'm going to retire. I had a conversation a year ago. I'm going to retire within a year. So December 2015, actually, I wanted to retire in 2016 in May on my birthday when I was turning a certain age. But I decided to retire 6 months early.
Nice.
But that happened to be when my doctor was on vacation. And I
Okay.
told my supervisor, I said, I'm going to retire. I said, but your doctor's going to go, so I'm going to retire in December. So find somebody. They didn't even have a time to find anybody to take my place. But I was just training a girl just right after school as a medical assistant. And I told her each side. And I said, guess what? My position is available. So if you want to apply for it, go ahead. Because I'm going to retire. And she's like, what? Because
Okay.
I was just training her.
Yes.
So the doctor didn't have a time to post a job other than so she only got to interview, she got the job. She still works for him,
Nice.
to this day. But the thing is, that's my point in this story is that you can't wait for right timing, right position, right when everything's all put together. No, I just have to go. It's like an urgent. I'm going to retire in 2000. So I did. I retired in 2015 in December. 2016, I thought, oh boy, I just retired. I need to pick up a hobby. I want to stay busy. And then my husband was still working. He's going to work for 2 more years because he was working for government. And I
Okay.
thought, we'll be okay. We don't have because my kids all moved on.
Yeah.
So we're okay. And so he was going to work for 2 more years. And I thought, I'm going to pick up a hobby to stay busy. So I decided what a silly thing. Most scary things. I decided to take a hobby of learning option trading.
So, okay, back. I'm going to back up just for a second because I love that. You don't have to know every step. I'm ready. This is going to happen on this day, and I'm going to take that next step to the next thing, and everything's going to be okay. As scary as taking that step is, I might fall off the edge of that cliff. Hopefully, I learn how to fly before I hit the bottom. You just do it. You just
Like,
do it.
do it.
We talked about this. You have to take action. All the sitting in the back, thinking about it, praying about it. We do all those things, but nothing happens until you move. So
Exactly.
you took that action. You had some real estate where you were making some extra money off on the side with that, or had that all gone away?
Well, actually, I did get paid 3 times in 2016, being an ambassador for a real estate company. I would give
Okay.
a speak about how I didn't make my money on my rentals. That's
Oh,
the
you did
my
not. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
They want a success story, right?
Okay.
But I didn't have a success story. And so I would speak for about 2 minutes and they would pay me like $250. And I thought, that is like a really good money. I was making $16 an hour and working 10 hours a day. And I thought, speaking for 2 or 3 minutes and I'm getting $250.
250. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go for that.
Yeah.
So I got paid 3 times and I thought, that's good. And then
Okay.
they wanted me to start traveling and I thought, no. But anyway, so I had that job. But meanwhile, I took on a hobby.
Yeah. Okay. That's
And
where
I
you
took on
decided.
a, yeah, and I took on a hobby, something that I was really against, that I was really really hating it because I had to learn all new skills, option trading,
What made you open your mind back up to that after you had shut it down before?
because people say that you can make a lot of money,
You
because
heard
I
it.
took a
You heard it
class.
more than once.
I
Okay.
took a class. I decided to take a class. And then after I took a class and I was listening and I thought, oh my gosh, you can make a lot of money. But I thought, well, I won't be able to make a lot of money because I'm not a tech savvy. I don't know
Okay.
how to use a computer. I hate computers. But I will take it on as a hobby. And so in 2016, when everybody went back to, like, when my husband went back to school and went back to work and everything, and I thought, I'm just going to go down to my office downstairs in 2016. I thought, I'm going to practice this option trading that I've been learning in 2014, 2015, on and off. But I thought, I'm not going to use this as a moneymaker because there's no way. There's no way I could learn these skills without using computer. That's not me. But I was interested in learning a new hobby. And
Okay.
I told myself, I thought, there's a lot of people doing hobby. They spend a lot of money
Yes.
fishing, hunting, and things like that. They spend so much money doing their hobbies. But I thought, what if I learn a skill as a hobby that makes me money?
That has the
Not
potential to
spend,
make me money. Yes. Okay.
makes me money, not spending money. So
Okay.
that's when I decided to really learn this skill about option trading. So I studied it. Then my next step was I just got a, I just got done retiring, working 10 hours a day. I'm going to treat this hobby as my new work, my new job.
Okay.
Nobody told me what my results will be. And everybody was worried. They're like, Mom, what are you going to do? You retired from your job, your dream job. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I'll just do something to stay busy. That's what I told my kids. Everybody was worried about me. They thought I was nuts because I didn't have any new job lined up to do something, but I was going to pick up a new hobby. So I studied this every single day, Monday through Friday when the hours of the market is open. And I
Okay.
practiced with my virtual money.
Okay.
And I have discovered that I was making 50,000 in 1 week. And I thought, this is nuts. There's times where I was making 20, 30, 40, 50,000 in 1 hour. And I thought, this is like crazy. I said, I'm learning, but I could do this. Like, this is nuts. So I remember texting my husband and said, guess what? You may be working, making 25 to $30 an hour, but guess what? I just made like 50,000 today. And we both said, too bad it's not real money.
Yeah.
But doing that over and over and again, I thought to myself, maybe there's a potential I could really do this for real,
Okay.
to make money. And so I practiced that whole year because it was a very intriguing. It was fun, even though it was fake money, virtual money, but it was fun because I was learning all these skills and I was learning to use the computers and I was becoming like a tech savvy now at old age, like over 50 years old, right? And I thought, this is just crazy. So I decided, I thought, I'm going to maybe start using this, doing this for real. I can't practice for the rest of my life. I got to do something to make money so I could really go on vacations and things. And so I decided, why not try this?
Okay.
Instead of working for somebody or staying with the real estate investments, I'll do this. So I took out a home equity loan
Okay.
in 2016. And I set myself a goal, and I thought making $35,000 a year for the last 33 years, I thought I'm going to really be so excited. You'll be really dream come true in financially if I can learn to make my own 60 to 90,000 on my own doing this, then I would be so happy, and that's all I need.
So
So
let me just review. So you
yes.
practiced for a year using
Uh-huh.
virtual money.
Mm-hmm.
You supported yourself, or your husband supported you in that time, in that year?
Yeah.
Okay.
We were just living off of, what my husband was making.
Got it.
Yeah.
Then you decided, let's just see what happens here.
Yeah.
So you're willing now to take a risk after
Mm-hmm.
you practiced for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, well, I don't have the money to do this. You don't see the cash in the bank. But it's like, where do I have asset? Where
Mm-hmm.
can I get the money? And you
Mm-hmm.
realized you had the equity in your house. So
Mm-hmm.
you took out this home equity loan. Did you have to
Mm-hmm.
talk about that with your husband, or did you just do it?
Yeah, I think we talked about it because it was a big investment. And also, I had to transfer my 401k and a pension plan to another IRA.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I transferred that into this, my option trading. I opened up the account and everything and
Okay.
transferred that in there because I knew when I was practicing with my virtual money that I was getting a great result.
Yes.
And so I thought if I could do it with the virtual money, why can't this
I
become a
should be able.
reality
Got
with
it.
the real money? But I have to have an actual funds to start.
Right.
So
So
that's
you could take your 401k money that you had from your job and put it into kind of a self-directed thing
yes,
where you can
yes,
use that in your option.
investment. Yeah,
You took a home
that
equity line to be able to use.
yes,
You guys decided you could cover that loan.
yes,
And probably part of it is like, I'm going to make enough money to cover this loan.
yes. Of
That's
course.
another part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to understand where the money came from and that
Yes,
you were
yes.
willing to take that risk after you had been
Mhm.
practicing for a full year.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you had some screw ups in there. You learned this, you learned that,
Oh,
made money, lost money. There was all the things that happened in that year.
yes. Oh, yeah. I went through so many growing, learning curves during that 1 year, but you don't really have to practice for a whole year, like for you
No, I
guys
get
to
it.
learn.
I just want people
But
to know what you did so that
yeah,
you can know you have the experience.
yeah.
And it wasn't all straight up line where you just
No.
always made money. There's a
Oh,
lot of
no.
ups and downs.
That's right. That's right. And I came up with a special strategy called Unique Miracle System.
Did you do that in
So,
that year, or did you come?
yes,
Okay.
I came up with that strategy during that studying time. Just like scientists, they put certain things together, mix together, they formulate something good. So that's what I did. I came up with a simple strategy that anybody could understand, somebody that even a teenager could understand, or college kids or retired people.
Okay.
Because I've been through all different stages of my life, and I thought, oh no, I don't have any money. I'm a single mother. What are they going to come up with the funds to start?
Yes.
And so the strategies that I teach, and I actually do a live training with my clients.
Okay.
And so it's not like they get to watch videos and say, good luck, and I'll support you. But actually, I'll say, this is what I'm doing with the Boeing or Apple or Tesla or something. Then do this, what I do. I'm choosing this at this time, this day, you do the same thing. So like I take a step and then they take a
They
step.
can take a step with you. Let's back up because I don't know if everybody knows what options are. What's that?
Options are. Yeah, so basically explaining about options is this. Options are, it's almost like a day trading, but you don't have to do it daily. Okay. And you get into a stock market with a very, very fraction of funds. So in other words, for example, like if you wanted to buy like an Apple, let's say it costs $180. Right now it's like, I have to look at it's like let's say $180 for Apple.
Okay. $180 a share. Okay.
Yeah, per share. AAPL. Okay. So I'm going to just look that up really quickly if you don't mind. Just to give, okay, so $205.62 per share for Apple right now. Okay. To buy a stocks, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Like we can't even afford to do it. Like to buy one share, it's going to cost like thousands of dollars, right? Where options is you could get into a fraction of like maybe 2 or 3,000 instead of hundreds of thousands. Okay. And you could buy like a 10 quantity of it and you could make money much faster with the stock market with options. And there's a lot of leverage, and make a lot faster money, less time.
But can you define option? What does it mean to have an option?
So options is something that you choose a strike prices within the, like, in other words, like you could choose the strike price. Like, let's say if you were to buy like a stock, you just click it, you're buying the stock at $205 per share. So let me just show you exactly how that works. Just going to here really quick. So if we were to buy for Apple, for example, if we're to buy a Apple stocks, okay, it's going to cost, I can't do that in there. Hang on. I'll just have to bring it back up here. It won't take that long. Let me see. So if you were to do.
So for those of you not watching this on YouTube, Sun Yong is actually working to explain to us a trade, I think.
Yeah. If I'm going to buy like Apple stock, like just a one share of an Apple stock. Okay. And let me just tell you how much it's going to cost. Just one share. Well, let's just say 10 to 10. So 10 shares of stocks versus 10 shares of options, example. So let's just do 10. Okay. So it's going to love me after all. Okay. So just remember, if we were to buy one share of Apple stocks, it's going to cost $20,540. Okay.
So to buy, wait, I thought it was 200 and something a share. Why is one share 20,000?
Yeah, it is. So basically, $205.39 per share is what's going on right now.
Right.
200, but that's just the price. That's just the price of Apple right now. Okay. So price right now is at $205.33. But so if you were to buy, like you could buy portions, or you could just buy one share, 2 shares, 10 shares, or 20 shares. But we're just going to go with like a one share of stocks. It's going to cost 20,000 instead of, because you got to times by one. So $205.46. We're doing it like a live options right now, live stocks. So the price is changing all the time. So it's a $205, right? So it's going to cost like $220,540 because it is this price is at $205.40. And so it's going to cost us $20,540 to buy one stocks versus if we're to buy options of, let's say, one options instead of one stocks, we're going to do it that way. So we'll delete that one and let's just do stocks. We're going to buy up trade because we're going to hoping to make money when the market is going up, right? And so we're buying stocks buy one shares of stocks, it's going to cost 550. But if we're to buy one stocks, okay, when you're doing options, there's all different strike prices, anywhere between 100 to 200 and 200 to 350 strike prices available that you could choose from. Depends on what days you're going to let these options expire. So we just happen to choose April 25th that it's going to expire. We're going to do options trading today, and anywhere up to like $330 strike prices that you could choose from.
So
So
let's back up a little bit. So you're buying the option to buy or sell the stock at a future date. Is that what?
yes, future days. Yes,
Okay.
future date to expire. So
Okay.
in other words, and stocks, you don't have an expired date. You could just sell the stocks once you bought it. You could sell it anytime you want, as long as you think the options are like a market is going up, and then you make your so much money that you could just sell it to make money. But options, you could do the same thing, but you have a restrictions as to how long you have to stay. Like you could expire like certain day.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
We're getting a little technical, so I think we might be losing some people on it. But so the option is that you're buying the potential to buy a stock at a future price, and you're setting that today.
Yes.
And then what you teach is how to do that, and then when you want to exit, or how
how to exit, how to sell it so that you can make money.
All right.
Okay.
And in your first amount of time of doing this, when you first started doing it with your real money, how did you do?
Yeah. So basically, let me just quickly go back before I get into that 30 seconds. So to buy a one stock, one quantity of Apple options, remember, just buy one share is going to cost $20,540. This is going to only cost you $3,675 just to get into our options quantity one. See the difference of the money?
I do. No, 100%. I'm not understanding a lot of the technicality of it. Bottom line, you can get into options trading at a much lower investment than buying the stock itself.
Right.
And it's a faster way to make money than necessarily just holding the stock. That's my
right. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I wanted to show you, the difference of the price of getting into 3,000 one option trading versus one share of stocks, 20,540. See, it's a huge difference. Difference.
So after you've finished your virtual training and decided to take the risk with your own money, how'd you do?
So basically, I set myself a goal to make 60 to 90,000, and I made 178,000 in my first year.
In your first year?
My first year, 178,000. That's like 3 times of my income from my dream job.
From your dream job. Did options trading become your dream job after that, or is this still?
Oh, that's my dream job. That's my dream life. That's my dream income. That's my dream everything.
Okay.
My dream everything, like you could think of it. Everything. Yes.
And you teach people how to do this?
Yes. I teach people how to do this just because people who needs a side job, they don't have to leave the house, drive, traffic, or they could just stay home, just click a button, just like checking an email. Because I teach my unique miracle system is simple as checking your email. So simple. And
so people who have full-time jobs can do this. I don't have to quit my job and sit at a computer all day long to do this.
No. And then once you learn to do this, and you're going to just retire so quickly, and you're going to make more money than your current job.
You can retire if you want to. My whole goal is that you have the option to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I could go on vacations.
Love your job and you want to be there forever, do that. But you don't have to, because you got money coming from somewhere else. The day somebody says something to you, you're done with it, you can say, thank you very much, I am done. See you later.
That's right.
That is the goal.
Yeah, that is the thing. You becoming your own boss. You could do this anywhere in the world. Like after I retired, my husband and I, we went to Europe, Italy for 1 month, not 1 week, 1 month. We went to Korea for 1 month, trying to my sister. That's another story itself.
Well,
In
my question
2018.
before we leave the show, I want to know,
Yes.
did you ever meet your family again?
No, never found them.
Okay. You went there for 1 month looking, working
Looking.
to do that. So, okay. All right. Thank you. Because that part was still in my mind. Did that ever happen?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk. How do people find you? So if somebody's listening to this and going, wait, I don't understand this option thing. I need to talk to
Yeah.
her some more.
Yes.
How do they find
Yes.
you?
They could find me through YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that you could subscribe. I
Okay.
have a TikTok. I do Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook.
Okay. So I don't know anything about computers, Miss. I'm not tech savvy back all those years ago. Now has
Yes.
Instagram, TikTok,
Yes. Yes. I
YouTube.
know. I
Options.
know. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. The reason is because I put myself in that space. I took a
100%.
huge, massive actions. Because
Yes.
I'm telling you, for your audience, someone that came from living from every day from meal to meal. When is my next meal? No purpose in life. Every day, no purpose. To now, I have created, I took myself there, even though it costed money, nothing is free. It costed my time, my fear, just everything that I have, not knowing the result. Because it is easy for people to take a step and actions if someone tells you, oh, do you know you're going to make 178,000 end of this year if you took the option trading and if you study? Who's going to believe that?
No. Yes.
Nobody. So when you want something in life that there's no limits, you don't put yourself a limit. You don't put others put limits in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the mindset, with the actions, not knowing the result, you could really become or create any kind of life that you want. So if you don't do anything, you don't take any actions, you're not going to have nothing. Or you're going to have the same life, the miserable life, and you always complain. And the reason you complain because you put yourself in there. So there are some people that always will do the job according to somebody will tell them what to do. So for example, when I was at my dream job, when I wanted to go to Japan to see my daughter, I had a time with working for a company for 30, I had the time, 2 weeks that I could take off. I had no money, so I can go visit. They says they didn't have anybody to cover my doctor, so I can go.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have money, I have time, I'm my own boss. Nobody could tell me what to do. Nobody could tell me how long I could go on vacations. Nobody could tell me, I said, no, we can't cover your doctor. We can't find anybody to cover your doctor, so you can't go on vacations. It's a limitless. There's no limits as far as like what you could do for yourself. But you have to do it. You want to do it, and you got to have a biggest why.
Okay. So tell me about the book you wrote.
Yes. So one of the dreams that I wanted to become is an author because I didn't have that skills. So I wrote a book called Invest in Yourself. And it says, invest in yourself, throw away all your excuses and turn your life around. The reason I wrote this book because I used every single excuses in my life, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to do that, or someday, maybe tomorrow, not right now, maybe some year when after my kids graduate or perfect timing. No, I decided because I'm guilty of using all these excuses, I wrote this book. It's a really good book for your audience. I'm willing to give them 50% off. So they just need to go to the website, write down the secret word would be your podcast, right?
Okay.
Name.
Okay.
And then that way I could identify that I'm giving them a discount. And I also wrote a book called Opposite Opposite. After being a single, and I made my man of my dream life because I thought, oh, he has a really good income. He doesn't do drugs or smoke. And I met my dream man. And then after I got married and lived with him, I thought, wait a minute, he's the opposite of me. And he doesn't do everything what I like. So I decided to write a book about it. And it's a really, both of this book, this is for relationship book, and this is for investing in yourself. Both of them are like a tool book, like a help guide book.
Okay.
And
All
so,
right.
yes, they could get a discount on that.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. And all the information about that, all of Sun Yong's contact information will be in the show notes. I fully expect some of you, if not all of you, to at least go to the website. Believe it or not, her phone number is there. So I think she probably answers her phone. So if you want to know more about this, even just talk to this woman who has done so much, from orphanage, abandonment to multi-million options trader. This is one generation of people, guys. This is not her children did this. This is she did this. Everybody can do this. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Sun Yong, thank you so much for sharing. Oh, this was amazing. This 2 episodes was amazing. This is everything that Money with Mission and Wealth Builders is about. I appreciate it so, so much.
Thank you. It was just pleasure being in your podcast. Your podcast is awesome. It's really helping a lot of people out there.
Thank you.
As long as they listen, they take actions. That is the key. You got to take actions.
Yes. And action means more than just reading a book and listening to a podcast. It means doing it for yourself. You got to take that step. You don't necessarily know where that step's going to lead you, but take the step anyway. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.